There was a quote that Plato said long ago, and it went by, "Do not train a child to learn by force or harshness, but direct them to it by what amuses their minds, so that you may be better able to discover with accuracy the peculiar bent of the genes of each." And there's a lot of truth said in that quote, because one of the things people assume they need before working out or starting their business is motivation. And they mistake motivation as some magical drink to get them moving. However, a common mistake people usually make is solely relying on motivation to get them off the couch and start their journey. But what is motivation? For the average person, motivation acts as a source to move them towards a particular goal by using their mental energy to reach it. And with that mental energy, people use it to return back to the gym, approach that cute girl, or prevent themselves from eating a Hot Pocket. The only downside that comes with motivation is the fact that it acts kind of like a battery. It starts off strong, but the longer you use it, the more energy you drain from it. So what is the proper way to stick to your goals? For one, make a plan to build your willpower, and that starts with properly managing your daily routines. Initially, anyone who starts a goal will have a lot of energy to think of ideas and experiment with them. But as time continues and you see just how hard it is to get really good at something, your interest for it dies. For instance, if you wanted to play the piano, it can be very exciting at first. But as time continues and you see just how difficult it is to sound like Beethoven, eventually you lose interest and give up. However, like your cell phone battery, you need to recharge your motivation by constantly putting in the time and effort to keep your interest alive. You have to know why you want to do something and remind yourself of those reasons whenever laziness gets the best of you. Because if you wait for good emotions to start anything you want to do, you'll never get far. You will have days where you'll feel excited about writing a book or hitting the gym. But you'll also have various moments where you want to hide under the blanket and do nothing. You're going to have moments where you'll be too fatigued and exhausted to reach for that keyboard. Before you know it, you're conjuring up excuses as to why you shouldn't do something. And this is a problem that always occurs whenever you allow your emotions to take control of your actions. For most of your life, you'll never feel like doing anything that your emotions find displeasing. And most people will never find positive emotions by imagining themselves doing something that requires too much effort to maintain. We all like to imagine the end result of being successful and receiving all the positive emotions that come with it. But we dread at the idea of what it would take to get there. My emotions usually like to freak out whenever I want to approach a girl that I like. And it tells me to stay away and ignore her as if she had the plague. And to avoid the idea of rejection, I'm often really tempted to follow those direct orders. But I have to remind myself to ignore those petty emotions because rejection is only a fear that was brought to me by the idea of the unknown. So make a connection between your direct thoughts and your intuition. You already know what's right and what's wrong. You just have to prevent your fears from persuading you to retreat from the unknown. Do not allow your emotions to make your decisions because you always have to look at it from a logical point of view. Your emotions do not care if you succeed or not. It just wants you to do whatever makes you feel good. It's why we often procrastinate, act lazy, and avoid our responsibilities. But it's your willpower that slaps you across the face and forces you to do what's necessary. It's your willpower that acts as the father inside your mind and nags you to complete those irritating tasks you've been procrastinating on. Your willpower reminds you that you should work harder so you can be independent, make others proud of you, and be the person you always wanted to be. Motivation does boost your spirit to work on something occasionally, but solely relying on it on a daily basis is a big mistake. Because motivation comes from feeling good emotions, as willpower acts as a discipline inside you. And when you do come across a moment where you're too tired to work on something, you'll question your life purpose and forget the reason why you started in the first place. You mistake being fatigued and unmotivated as a sign of no longer being interested in your passion. And when this happens, most people usually give up and look for something new to do. They search for a new hobby that will give them the same motivation as they had before. But unfortunately, this is a dark cycle that a member is doomed to repeat, turning from one hobby to the next whenever they get bored of it. And this is the danger of solely relying on motivation to get you started. But bear in mind, never mistake being bored or exhausted as a sign that you're no longer interested in something. Take it as a sign that your motivation has finally reached a 1% battery life and you need time before it recharges again. And that usually occurs based on the small improvements you make every day, which is why you have to rely on your willpower to always keep you focused. It won't be fun, and you'll probably hate whatever you're doing from time to time. You'll be tempted to give up, say what's the point, and give yourself an excuse to quit. But your willpower acts as a way to let you know why you're doing something and what your end game is. Maybe your end game is to own your own business one day, so you could quit your job and stop reporting to your irritating boss. Or maybe you exercise every day in the hopes of making your ex regret the day they left you. The point is, keep track of your end goal, so when you're about to give up, you'll be reminded by it and continue going. Let me give you an example of my friend who began lifting weights to gain the body he always wanted. But the problem was, he also worked as a chef. And with the amount of hours he worked, his motivation and energy was usually below 30%. And if he relied on his motivation alone, he would have been set up for failure. Instead, he focused on the type of body he always wanted by the time he arrived to the gym. But you might not want a beach body. But if you do want something that requires a lot of work and time to obtain, forget about using motivation and use your willpower instead. As great as motivation is to have, you'll eventually fail if that's all you use. Never put all your eggs in one basket and make a habit of setting time every day to work on your goal despite what your emotions tell you. After all it takes is 67 days to fully develop a habit and make it part of your everyday routine. Start small in the beginning of those 67 days and gradually build yourself up for the stage you feel comfortable in. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you have any ideas based on a video you'd like to see in the future, just hit a comment below so I can take a look at that. Alright guys, peace out and I hope you guys have a great day.